Hello, thank you for joining Workshop 2 of The Black Family, United by History, Restored by Storytelling, brought to you by New York Life. The Association for the Study of African American Life and History, in collaboration with Archival Alchemy, presents this national program that highlights the legacy of Black family reunions while encouraging families of all backgrounds to build and renew their own familial traditions and stories. We encourage you to watch the rest of the videos in this series to learn more about oral storytelling, genealogy, and familial archiving. Once you view all of the videos, you could receive a certificate as a family historian from the Association for the Study of African American Life and History. And now, let's get to Workshop 2 on planning Black family reunions, led by Tracey Artis. This virtual workshop was originally presented live on June 26, 2021 as part of the project relaunch and is now being made available for those who may not have attended that day. Tracey is the director of the Midwest Black Family Reunion, BFR, a 3-day celebration that attracts over 15,000 attendees. To learn more about Tracey's work, please read her full bio in the YouTube description. Now, we will turn it over to Joyce Leanne, the founder of Archival Alchemy, to introduce Tracey and get the workshop started.
Now we're going to get things started here with At the Kitchen Table. We know in Black families, so much of our business goes down at the kitchen table. That's where we plan things, we figure out disputes, we figure out our ways forward. And so today, we're going to be at the kitchen table planning Black family reunions with Tracey Artis of the Black Family Reunion Organization. It was never a question not to do it. It was how I would do it. Ashe. Tracey Artis is the founder of I Hear Music, a Cincinnati-based marketing, promotions, and event firm representing international gospel artists. Using her gifts to glorify God, Artis has represented some of contemporary gospel's music's biggest names. Since 2014, Artis has been the director of the Midwest Black Family Reunion, a 3-day celebration that attracts over 15,000 attendees. And today, she is here to share with you all how to plan reunions. So I'm going to turn it over to you, Tracey. And thank you so much for being here and sharing your expertise and your energy with us.
Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. Thank you all so much for having me today. Very excited. I love planning family reunions and have been the chair of mine several times down through the years. We do a biannual reunion, but just wanted to share some tips about how to get started, how to organize a family reunion for your family. If you've never had one before, or even if you've had one, to potentially take it to the next level. So one of the very first things you would need to do is identify a committee, a team of people within your family that everybody trusts to be able to not just plan a reunion, but also execute a reunion. The next thing you will want to be able to do is identify the purpose of the reunion. Is it just to bring everyone together? Are there other things that you would like to do during the course of your family reunion weekend? Do you want to do some sightseeing while in the city? Do you want to have a party while you're doing your Black family reunion, doing your family reunion for your family? Do you want to cook and share recipes during that time? So after you formulate your committee, you also then want to identify the purpose of coming together. We know you're coming together to celebrate your family, but what other things do you want to do? Also, having a theme is very important. I remember one year for our family reunion, the theme was "We Are One." And the message we wanted to convey is that we're all together. It doesn't matter if we live in different cities, we had different parents, some were cousins, some were siblings, because we became a family unit, correct? But we also very much wanted the message to be very clear that we are one. So having a theme is very important. Also, where will you have the reunion? The ambiance is important. Will you be outside for one of your days of the reunion? Will you choose a venue indoors? Do you have a plan if it rains and you have planned for outside. Potentially you could bring in a tent if you're going to be outside, so that you can make sure, even if there is a challenge with weather, we're still able to go on as planned. Will you hire a caterer, or will you and your family do some of the cooking? So that's all part of the planning. And what will we cook? Will we have healthy foods? Because I think it's very important that we have a balance of foods. Our culture, we really love to celebrate, food. It's a part of our story, and it's a wonderful part of our legacy. But I do think it's very important to also have a balance. So you may want to have some fish items, as well as some beef and pork, barbecue, hamburgers, mets, hot dogs, but then sneak in some of those favorite family recipes. Who does the best potato salad, baked beans, whatever sort of vegetable you choose to have? So the venue and catering, very, very important. The historical connect. One year we chose Savannah because that's where so many of our ancestors, slaves, came into Savannah, and we were able to connect with local government there. And we had a keynote address from the vice mayor of the town. So when you're thinking of venues, if you're going outside of where you live and you're having a destination reunion, think about the historical content of the venue, the location, the city that you choose. Activities while there. You have to hone in on the demographics of your family. Do you have a lot of youth? Do you have seniors? Do you have middle age? If you have a mixture of all, you want to have something for everyone to do. Good old spades game, bid whist. So you can have a portion of the weekend where you have games and activities, or a portion of one of the days. Make sure that there are things for the kids to do, like swimming, playing basketball. Maybe someone that is a chess pro could teach the other kids how to play chess. I've mentioned various card games, reading, storytelling, sharing with the children, someone that could just read a book to the kids, just letting them know that you have to have a balance. So we want to have a fun component, but we also want to have an educational component. Communication, as you're planning and executing, and even during the course of the weekend, how are you going to communicate to the other family members about activities that are going on, changes in those activities? Let's say you charter a bus while you're in the town and the bus is going to arrive late. Do you have a text campaign? Have captains on your committee that can help spread the word? If everybody is in the same block of rooms, you can slide things under the door the night before to make them aware of the activities for the next day or any changes. Communication leading up to the reunion, you can build a website, you can have a Facebook page, you can again text, email. All of these things are ways to connect. You can have a Facebook page just for the event, solely for the reunion weekend, and then continue to use it as a communication tool to stay connected with the family even after the reunion. As your committee has come together, you also want to identify, are we able to do this every year, or will this be a biannual event? Some families do it every year. Some people, again, do it every 2 years. So you want to identify that, how often you will meet. Family trees, your genealogy, when you're coming together, have that already built out and visible for persons to see, and make sure that you continue to build upon it. While there, you want to acknowledge births and deaths and anything that has grown or been added to the family lineage, thus the family tree. T-shirts, a way to bring everybody together with a common, okay, now we all have common wardrobe item that we're wearing one day. It could be the day of the reunion that you all decide to venture away from the hotel. Speakers, who will speak to the family during the course of the reunion? Will you have the matriarch of the family speak? Will you have someone from the youth division of the family speak? And what will they share? What will they speak about? And when will they do this? Most often at the beginning of a reunion, you would have someone address the family, someone welcome everyone there. You would have someone speak when it's time to bless the food. You would have someone acknowledge the committee, thank those persons. Maybe outside of the committee, someone could be identified as a person that would be the thank you committee. So these are various ways to have people speak. In my family, we stopped going to a church while in a city. We started using the oldest member of each of the individual families to address the family during church service. And we just rent a space there at the hotel. And we all come forward. I remember one year there was maybe 5 first cousins, and they were the children of the different family siblings. And there was a theme, so they all spoke on that theme. They all had a timeline to speak, but it was amazing because then you got to hear the hearts of the family members. So often when we're together for a reunion, you're fellowshipping and talking, you're eating, potentially sightseeing, you may have a party, but you're not always able to sit and share. Also, make sure that when the families come together, that you all branch outside of the persons that you came with. That way you're getting to know each other. Also, a family directory, very, very important. So we don't want to assume that everyone has information as to how to connect with each other. So potentially you could build like a address book that has everyone's names, physical street addresses, email addresses, and phone numbers. Also, what business are they in? Oftentimes, my family, people have changed careers, but we have nurses in our family, doctors, educators, entrepreneurs. So aside from just having the address book, also share what each member of the family does. When I speak of educators and doctors and the different persons that make up my family, I think it's important at any reunion to be able to identify who knows what in case of emergency. Everybody should be asked to fill out an emergency form before they come to the reunion. It could be me filling out one for my entire family. I might have a diabetic in the family. What if someone is away from, uh, who they came with and they have an emergency? Everyone should be able to know what to look out for. If someone went into a diabetic coma, you would want to give them something sweet to bring them back. So make sure that you have an emergency kit on hand, and also make sure that you have, aside from an emergency kit, you have identified persons that could help in case of emergency. We all know to dial 911. If you're at a hotel, whoever the committee is may want to speak with the hotel about where to exit in case of a fire emergency, right? How close, if we did call 911, would the nearest fire and safety unit house be so that you would know what is around you? Okay, I think that's very important. Sponsors. What if you have a family reunion the size of 150 persons and you converge on a town? I would absolutely reach out to the industry in the town and send them a package. Let them know that you are bringing this many persons to their city, or you're having a reunion in the city where you already live, and you want to see if your local grocery store chain would be interested in being a sponsor. What would be the return on their investment? Maybe they gave a coupon to everyone in the family, and then you come to the store, they scan that coupon, and they can now see what you purchased. So they're able to see all 150 persons use this coupon that was $1 off an item, but over $100 was spent by the majority of the people that came in. That's a return on their investment. What if there is a potential sponsor and they want you to help market their product? Those persons are called brand ambassadors. So your family could become a brand ambassador for a grocery store chain, someone selling product, a hair salon in town, a fun complex for youth. So there's a myriad of things. It just takes a little research and developing a sponsorship package. A sponsorship package may entail what you will receive if you were to allow us to be a sponsor for you. Give them all the information about the reunion so they know where the event is going to be held and all of the above. So that's something that's very important. Marketing. We talked about ways to share with your family what is going on inside of your family reunion weekend. But what if you want to invite others? What if you wanted to have an open day where you invited other people to come together and made it a little larger than just your family? And what would be the reason for doing that? Maybe you are having your reunion in a small town, but there have been persons that have been very much a part of your life and the family's life. Maybe for your Sunday dinner, you would invite other persons. Also, cost, very important. You don't want to overprice the reunion so that people consider not coming. You just want to make it affordable for everyone. And you have to hone in on the demographics of your family. I've seen people have $1,000 weekend, but I've seen my family for a family for the entire weekend do $250. I've seen some families just have potluck one day, throw a party at someone's home in the yard the next day to keep it affordable so that they can ensure that everyone has the opportunity to attend the reunion. Um, Party. So when you think of a party, we're still in the midst of a pandemic, but what if you were having a reunion this weekend, this year over the course of a weekend, and you wanted to throw a party? You probably want to look at an outdoor venue for safety reasons. You probably want to consider having something outside, still trying to have social distancing if you can, and also um, you want to have stations where people can clean up with hand sanitizer, wipes, and things of that nature. But I do recommend during the course of your weekend, if you're going to be planning a party during this time, that you consider outdoors. Also, during the course of a weekend, you have a lot of people coming together for an event, and most often someone will lose something. So it's important to have an area called lost and found. It could be a large tub or box that is there on site. And if somebody loses something, they can bring it there and have someone from the committee that daily will check and try to match up those items with different family members. So at the end, no one has left anything behind. Pictures, very important. I lost my mother last year. She passed on April the 23rd, but we have so many pictures of our mother. We have family reunion portraits that were taken. So here's a few thoughts and ideas about ways to memorialize the weekend, if you will. Hire a professional photographer that can come and take a group picture of the entire family. Also ask the photographer to offer a package to sell for individual families. So often we take a lot of selfies and pictures on our phone, but we may not have a picture of father, mother, children, along with a grandmother in a picture. Those are great ways, again, to memorialize not just the occasion, but the family unit. So pictures are important. So what will I do with the individual pictures? Well, if you purchase pictures, you would probably share with the individual members of the family. You would probably take a picture, one of your pictures, and put it in your home. But what should the family do? The family should put all the pictures together and post them and share them for other members of the family to see. But also all the pictures should go into archives. There should absolutely be someone in your family that is in charge of making sure that anything that was given out over the course of the weekend and photographs are placed in an archive so that 20 years from now, you can go back and see the program from your church service. You can see the photos from that particular weekend. If you had a directory built from that weekend, so there's a myriad of things that you could do with photographs and other things. But one of the main things, aside from sharing them over the course of the weekend, is to keep them so that they can be in archives. Who is the historian of your family? If you haven't identified one, it's very important that someone houses all of the family lineage, houses all information about various family members. So I think it's very, very important to identify a historian. Um, Someone asked a question and I want to share about, I want to go back to that. A question was info on sponsors. So in your individual community, you can go to different businesses with it could just be a one sheet. I call it a sponsorship package, and reach out to them, ask them to donate money to your weekend, and become a sponsor for, in my instance, it would be the Artist Family Reunion. Show them, if you sponsor this event, let's say it was Coca-Cola, and they gave you all Coke products for the weekend. What Coca-Cola wants to see is that there's a return on their investment. Let's say they gave product with a value of $300. Well, how would they be able to see that they got a return on their investment? So I pointed to a coupon. Coca-Cola could give everyone in the family a coupon. Let's say it's 25% off a 2 liter of Coca-Cola. Well, they can identify everyone in your family by that coupon that came in and redeemed it. Most often when you come into a store, you're not just coming for one item, you go to purchase other items. What if there was a new hair salon in town, a new store, a new restaurant, and they wanted to help get the word out about their business, and they utilize your reunion to help do that? So there's a myriad of ways to approach businesses, but approach them with information about the amount of persons that are going to be there and the demographics of the person. Because what if it's someone that is wanting to do something geared toward youth? They want to heighten awareness about a fun complex in their town. I took my son to a bowling alley last night, and it's called Omni Funplex, and it's new here in the city. I didn't know anything about it. I think that if there was a reunion in town and they were able to get the word out through a reunion, Omni Funplex could potentially become a sponsor. So just a myriad of ways to approach businesses in your area, but build a sponsorship package to show them what they would be getting. So we talked about historian. I think it's very important. And for every person that you have with a leadership role, try to have someone assist them as you plan your succession. So in our family, my mother and her sisters all are over 65. So if they have been the main persons planning the reunions all these years, if they didn't have assistance, then we would be starting, from scratch. But they didn't do that. They made sure in the years that they planned, they pulled their kids along. And so the first time I was a chairperson for the reunion, I was 29 years old. So, and then the last time I chaired it was 4 years ago. And so I had the experience and knowledge from watching others, and I love to plan. So that brings me to, how do you formulate your committee? Don't just pick people for any reason, but make sure they're people that are passionate about planning and executing. Family committee. So who will do what on the committee? So if should I have a 10-person committee? Should I have a 5-person committee? How many people should be on my committee? Think about the amount of persons that are in your family. So probably for every 10 persons, you would want to have one person on the committee. So if you have 100 people in your family, you would probably want to have about 10 people on the committee, but divide the committee. Everybody can maybe be a part of what the layout of the weekend would be like, but some people would be on the back end, meaning they would be shutting down everything, making sure everything was cleaned up, making sure all the bills were paid. But there may be other people that may have their roles as soon as you arrive. They would be the persons that would be decorating. They would be the persons that would be making sure that everything was in place, like caterers, transportation, DJs, things of that nature. If you're going to have a destination reunion, you probably want to go for a site visit prior to going. So when I was the chair for Savannah, I live in Cincinnati, Ohio. I had to be in Atlanta on business. So I took that opportunity to travel to Savannah, Georgia. I did my research before arriving in Savannah. I wanted to go look at the actual hotel that I had identified. I made sure that the hotel had the amenities that were needed for the plan for the weekend. They had a reception hall. I negotiated with them so that I didn't have to pay a rental on the reception hall because of the amount of rooms I had. I also asked if there were any free rooms that could be given to me because we had over 35 rooms at the hotel. So they comped my suite for the weekend as the chair, okay? And maybe gave a discount to some of the other rooms. I believe I paid it forward and gave mine to maybe one of the elders in the family. But there was a reception hall. They had breakfast that was, free each morning. They had a pool there for the children. The rooms were spacious enough for people that wanted to have potentially a whole family stay in a room together, like myself. It was me, my husband, and 2 children. So just very, very important to go there and see everything. I had 3 different caterers over the course of the weekend. I did tasters with each of them. I also negotiated the pricing. I just didn't accept what was given to me initially. I made sure, again, that I had researched before I came. I tasted all the food, loved the food, and then chose a menu from that. With my committee, which was my siblings, so there were 5 more persons. I then divided their roles up. I shared with them by way of a meeting when I came back. Here are the caterers, here are the menus, here's photos of the hotel. You can see the hotel online. Here's the bus company that I hired. Here's who's speaking on behalf of the mayor of the town. It was the vice mayor. Here's activities that we could do. We went to Tybee Beach. One of the caterers did a fish fry for us there on Tybee Beach. We rented a space there at Tybee Beach, always thinking about all of us being able to come together and stay together and be safe. That was something else that was very, very important to me. I looked at the crime in the area where the hotel was. I found out information from the persons at the hotel about other things that were in close proximity. I hired a driver because though I had been to Savannah for different events in the past, I had never been there alone. So I called a friend and she connected me with a driver, and he drove me around the day that I was there, and I got a chance to see a lot. And so that really helped me navigate my way through what the weekend would entail. Church service. I shared that at our reunions, we have a church service that we put on ourselves. But what if you want to have church service with a local church? How would you connect with churches? Let's say your family is Baptist, just simply by either connecting with someone in the town or looking up the various churches that are in town. I tried to do things for both of the reunions that I planned that were in close proximity to where we were staying. Because what you want to do is ensure that everyone has fun, but you want to make sure that you arrive to everything on time. You want to make sure that everyone enjoys all the activities to the best of their ability. So church, just, research and find out what is there. Music. Oh my goodness. Everybody in the family may have different things that they like, different foods. They maybe came from different cities. But one thing you're going to find about everybody is they love music. But you have to pick music to play over the course of the weekend that everybody likes. So you have to have something for everybody. Um, if you're in Georgia doing a reunion, you make sure that Georgia by Ray Charles is played. Make sure that Family Reunion by the OJs is played. But if you have young kids, you also may want to reach out to one of them. One of the committee members should reach out and say, give us a playlist. Even when we're in the reception room, even when we first arrive, we want to play music that's fitting for everyone. We want everyone to be comfortable and hear music that they like. In Savannah, we hired a DJ and we absolutely gave him a playlist, but then he played some of the music that he also thought would work for our family. But music is very, very important. I touched on t-shirts earlier, but I didn't say what do I think the t-shirt should do. It should bring everybody together, but absolutely have the theme on it. It should serve as a piece of the family history by having the date, the city, and the state there. So that's what you would do with your t-shirt, and make sure that whoever you purchase your t-shirts from has quality t-shirts so that they will last. Because there should be other times after the reunion that you choose to wear your family reunion t-shirt. Make sure there's sizes for everyone. And again, just making sure that it's quality and affordable. When you're coming up with your family reunion package, do you do a package where you put everything inside of the weekend and you say, here's the cost for your meals every day. Here's the cost for your t-shirt. Do you even put your hotel rooms inside the package? I would. I would not let individuals get their hotels on their own, because if you do it as a package, most often you're going to be able to get more of a discount. So try to keep as many things together as possible. Um, Points. We stayed at a Marriott and I had Marriott reward points, and I was able to gain points by staying at that hotel. Admonish family members prior to coming, if they're not signed up with that particular hotel, to get signed up so they can start building points. You want to be able to show we're having a family reunion weekend, but we're also being knowledgeable of perks that we can receive by being at a particular hotel, right? Um, Travel, how do we get there? If we're going on a destination reunion, or we have family all over the city, but we're going to travel to one of the cities that a family member lives in, let's get a travel agent and let her book everyone's travel. Or let's charter a bus. We've done that many times, so that you don't have 40 cars leaving from various cities. Maybe there can be a meeting point. One year, all of Cincinnati chartered a bus, and we stopped in Kentucky and picked up probably another 20 family members, and then made another stop in Tennessee and picked up maybe another 10 family members before heading out to Washington, D.C. But it was much more cost effective for us to be on this charter bus as we head to the Northeast, as opposed to everyone either flying or driving. And it also appeared to be a much safer option because, again, we were all together. That's very important. One of the purposes of family reunion is to bring everyone together and keep everyone together during the course of the weekend. So when you point to the activities that you'll do over the course of the weekend, I'm going to come back to, it's very important to have activities for everyone. It's very important to have music that everyone likes. It's very important to have food that everyone likes. It's very important to have people speak and address the family that everyone wants to hear from, and you know they're respected and they have a clear message. Though family reunion weekends are fun, there's also a spiritual side to a family reunion, because you're bringing the family together. That's a time to thank God for the opportunity to be together, because surely the next time you come together, there could be someone with a health challenge that was unable to make it, someone that has passed on. I know when our family comes together again, we would have had 3 passings since our last reunion: my mother, my uncle, my cousin Lamont. So, what will we do when we come together to make sure that we're uplifting everyone's spirits, but that we're also acknowledging the deaths? Potentially, you can do that at your church service. Potentially, you could have some sort of insertion in the church service to thank God for those that have went on. Also, how do you, when you wrap up your weekend, what are your next steps as you're planning for your next reunion? Ask at your business meeting, which I think is very important to have. You went through your weekend, and at the close, you have someone from the committee share everything. We were able to successfully bring 162 family members together this weekend. We were able to pay all of our debt and give scholarships to 6 of our students who are here this weekend that have either graduated from college or high school. This is how much is left in our treasury. We have $682 left. We were asking every family to give an additional 25, and then we're going to divide that between the family members. Or we're asking every individual that's not a minor to give $25. and then we're going to divide it. I've seen years in my family where we were able to give everybody that had graduated from high school and college between $150, $200. There's been years where some blessed soul was the only one that had graduated that year, and they got a large sum of money that was there. So at the very close, that's something that you want to consider, having someone speak on behalf of the committee, and then take that time to discuss what we do next. Are we going to come together next year? Are we going to come together 2 years from now and have a biannual reunion? Do we want to do something regional in between to fundraise for the next reunion? Why don't everybody that's in the Midwest come together in Cincinnati, Ohio, and let's have a fundraiser? We're just going to have a party one weekend, and all the money that is raised, we're going to give to our treasurer. Which brings me to a very important piece of a reunion. You can have a committee that changes every 2 years or every year based on where you're going, but you can have some consistent persons in the family that help carry on the family. You can have a treasurer that whenever money is raised or whenever money is donated, that treasurer will always have the money, and then they can disseminate the money to individual committees. You may want to always have someone that's over the birthday club so that they acknowledge everyone's birthday, maybe on your family reunion Facebook page or by actually mailing a card. You may want to have someone that reminds people you can give to the scholarship fund in our family all through the year. You don't have to wait to the next reunion. When can I do it? A way to maybe remind people is, when is your birthday? Bless the family with a $25 token. How can I get it to the family? You can make a check payable to your family reunion account. You can pay by Cash App. You can pay by PayPal. You can mail a money order. There's a myriad of ways that you can give money. But that way, you'll always have a treasurer. You'll always have foundational money to begin, because it's really tough sometimes to start from scratch. So if you always have a treasurer, then you always should have some money. You can put it in an interest bearing account so that the money grows. What are things that we can do over the course of the weekend to ensure that no matter what's going on, if it's raining out, um, if something happened there at the hotel where you had a power outage, how can we ensure that we're going to be prepared no matter what? I talked about a medical kit earlier, but you can also have a kit that someone puts together on the committee just to ensure that everybody has what they need. It can have umbrellas in it. It could have rain jackets, or you can remind people what items to pack. So how do I do that? How do I share with people what items I would bring to the reunion based on where we are? Well, we were in Savannah for our reunion. It was very hot. So I share with people to bring individual fans, actual hand fans. We had hand fans for the church service that my mother actually had made just by purchasing the sticks at Michael's and then having the actual square piece of the fan made and stapled on. And they were really nice, and they're a keepsake, and I still have mine. So you can share by way of your communications group, what things to bring. So I talked about fans. I talked about hand sanitizer in my sheet. Um, when you get to the beach, you want to have suntan lotion. You want to make sure that you bring extra towels. You want to make sure, if you're going to be there with children, that they have everything they need, because you won't be able to get away. If you're on medication, remind people to bring your medication. Remind people to fill out their emergency form that has that information on there, so that if something happens to somebody, we know any health concerns that they have. So communication is something that goes on throughout the course of the weekend, but just sharing with people so that they have a very, very good idea of what is going to take place where they are. Do I need money outside of the money that I've already paid? And if so, uh, what do you suggest? Well, we're all on our own for lunch on Saturday. And here are some areas of town that I think would be good for us to go to. You know, share that information, share any menus through your communication that you can if the family is ever on their own. At the hotel, I tried to give everybody a really good visual of what amenities were there, what they had available, what was on their menu, because we have vegans in the family. So they did not have turkey bacon, but we requested it and they made that possible for us. So just remember to ask for anything that you need that is going to make your experience better. So there's a lot of planning that goes into a family reunion, but you have to make sure that it's all executed. So having the two-part committee I want to share is very, very important. And I've seen that it always works, because if I'm the one that's coming in, setting up everything for each event, potentially by the time that last day gets here, I'm exhausted. So that's where the other half of the committee comes in. Um, so a family reunion is something that's very near and dear. And again, it could be some person's last time. So you want to make sure that you memorialize everything from the weekend. And you also want to make sure that it's planned and executed. Family reunions have a long history in our culture because so many families were divided when they arrived here through slave trades. And oftentimes, when families would be brought back together, they would have reunions, and they would work hard to try to find other family members. And so that's something that I think is very important as well. As you're planning, try to reach out to as many people in your family that you can. So it could be a cousin that you haven't seen in years, still reach out. It could be someone for whatever reason had fallen away from the family, still reach out. It could be someone that hasn't attended a reunion in many years, still reach out. You want to communicate with everyone because everyone makes up the family. There's also gift items that you may consider giving away during the course of the weekend so that everybody, aside from a t-shirt, may have something again to remember the weekend by. What could that be? It could be a pencil. It could be an ink pen. It could be a bracelet. You know, they're all kind of fun, gifty items that could be given. It could be for your beverages, you know, like a cup holder item that can wrap around it. It could be a mug. Do you want to acknowledge during the course of the weekend, again, births, persons that have passed, but you also want to acknowledge persons that are there that maybe got married, persons that got engaged. We already talked about graduations, persons that got a new job, started a new career path, persons that got promoted on their jobs, persons that retired, entrepreneurs that just launched a business. You want to celebrate the family while there. So if it's someone's birthday and it falls on the family reunion weekend, absolutely sing happy birthday to them while there. Um, Also, I think it wise from every group of the family that someone speaks. So when we talked about speakers, we talked about what point over the weekend would a speaker speak and who potentially could speak. I said earlier, could be your matriarch, right? But also have someone from your youth division speak, right? Have someone from the middle age group of the family to speak. That way, everyone feels a part of, you know, rotate also. You don't always have to have the same person speak at each reunion, but the matriarch probably should always. For my family, it's my Aunt Etta. She turned 80 last year. She's my mother's oldest sister. So probably always at every reunion, she would share something. And then my mom's first cousin, John Howard Stewart, the oldest of his siblings, probably would always say something. So just thinking about as much content as possible over the course of the weekend, because you may not always be together, but also think about rest time. I remember one of our reunions when my Aunt Debbie, who was the chair, gave us a layout of the weekend. She had nap time and everybody kind of giggled, but everybody utilized it. Everybody went back to their rooms for this particular block of time, maybe between 3 and 5:30. There were no activities, even though the reception hall should always be open and made available and have things in it. But during that time, we took a nap. So we got rejuvenated And then we were able to come back and we were able to enjoy the rest of the family reunion weekend. So just an amazing, amazing experience with planning family reunions. And I do it on a national level for my nonprofit, Jazz Jordan Inc., here in Cincinnati, Ohio. It's an annual event. It's held every third weekend of August. The website is myblackfamilyreunion.org. This year, it's August 20th through the 22nd. The park is Sawyer Point. The park is divided by pavilions. There's something there for everyone. We have a health pavilion, a seniors pavilion, a youth and young adult pavilion, a children's pavilion, an inspirational pavilion, a main stage in the park with talent, both urban and gospel. This year it's Drew Hill on the urban stage and Darwin Hobbs on the gospel stage. So just so much to do over the course of the weekend. I wish you all well as you plan and execute your family reunions. And thanks for the opportunity to share with you today.
Tracey, thank you so much. You are such an expert by experience. Thank you. I mean, just so many tips that you've shared. We really appreciate your energy and all of your just amazing information. We want to just see if there's any questions from our participants here today. I think there is one question over in the Q&A. So
Okay.
if anyone has any questions, this will be a good time. If you're tuning in on ASALH TV on YouTube, please add your questions. And then if you have any questions on Zoom, if you would like to drop that in the Q&A. So right now we have a question that says from Johanna, Tracey, you said it's important to identify a historian. Great idea. But is there a disadvantage of having more than one family historian for your reunion?
I don't think it's a disadvantage if it's already been discussed. So let's say if it's a husband and wife and they're elders in the family and they're going to work together as a team to bring all the family history together and to keep it. I don't think that's a negative. I do think, however, if it's going to be one person, that it's important that it be an elder, probably, someone that has the information, but also make sure that it's someone who wants to do it, enjoys doing it, and is going to do a good job at it.
Agreed. Yes, like sometimes it is great to just lean into a team dynamic in the family.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for the answer. Is there any other questions that we have while we have this expert in the room? Y'all might want to ask some questions.
You're welcome, Johanna.
We'll give it a couple minutes to see. Okay. We have a question from Sylvia. Yes, I can answer this question. Will there be documents or notes from this presentation that will be available online? The answer is yes. We will be having a workbook. In addition to these recordings being available and the certificate program that you can go through, there will also be a workbook that will be accompanying this program. That workbook may come on more of the tail end once we have compiled everything from all of our facilitators throughout each of the workshops. But yes, there will be documents and notes. Any other questions? Or our YouTube ASALH TV friends have any questions over there? AA team? Going once. Uh-oh, okay. Yes, so there's another question about, can our guests send suggestions on what they would like in the workbook? Sure, we are definitely want this to be a resource that is as useful to the participants as possible. So if there is anything, I would ask for somebody from the AA team to drop in the chat the family history at asalh.org email address where you can reach out to us, and we will be sure to try to make accommodations for that. The workbook, there is not a actual determined time at this moment, but as soon as that is, as soon as we have that date, we will be sharing. So if you would like to sign up again for ASALH's mailing list, you'll be the first person to know. But right now we're in the process of getting all of the workshops recorded. And so once we're able to get all of the resources from the facilitators, we will compile it and make that available. I suspect that will happen by mid-July. And then another question. So we have a question for, I think this one is for you, Tracey. Talk a bit about using reunions to build genealogy.
Yes, so I feel that whenever the family is together, that everyone that's coming to the reunion, you should have a listing of all of those persons, their birth dates of anyone in that individual family unit has passed. So when I spoke of acknowledgments of births and deaths, whoever your historian and your archive person is, they should keep all of that. I spoke of the family tree and how the family tree should be visible to everyone once you get to the reunion, but also you should be adding to the family tree if there have been births and persons that have even passed on. There's a way with your family tree, your archives, and your historian that you should list that. Whoever the historian is also should keep a record of deaths by obituaries and make sure that for all the families that are a part of your family, that they know how important an obituary is because it serves as a death record for the family. It shows in each obituary that person's family. We wrestled with because we had a large family who all to list in my mother's obituary, but we decided to list everyone, every grandchild, every great grandchild, because again, it's a part of your family history and genealogy. So the reunion can absolutely serve as a source for that.
Thank you. Thank you for that answer, Tracey. And then also, someone wanted to know, how long does it take to plan a family reunion?
I would say, if you're going to do a biannual reunion, you probably want to start at least a year ahead of time. But if you all do a reunion every year, you may want to kind of digress after the reunion and then, move it to another committee for the next year. So one that's held every year probably isn't as much work because you're doing it annually. So you could do that one within a 6 to 9 month window. Also, if you're staying in the same town every year, it would probably make it much easier as well. I mean, some families, I know a family, they meet every year, the same weekend in Kentucky. And so, and they meet at the same location. So they may not start sending out their communication sometime till, 6 months before asking for people to pay their initial dues.
Thank you. And I think another thing that I would add to that I wanted to ask is, so one of our goals of this project, and this project has had to be remixed and repurposed because of the ways in which the pandemic has impacted so many different things, right? And so we wanted people to be able to gather, just even say this August, but so they may not be able to plan like a full reunion. So what could people achieve in a short amount of time? But also that's a part of the question. The question is like, what could people achieve in a short amount of time, given that people are excited? I know myself, my family is based in Denver, Colorado. I am in New York City, and I've not seen them in over a year. And so
Okay.
I would really love to be able to connect with them.
hmm
But yeah, so how can we do something, an interim type of thing? And then
hmm
I just wanted to say to people that these resources are going to be on ASALH's website and ASALH TV indefinitely. So even if you started utilizing this information now for a fuller reunion next year, given Tracey's time frame estimates on how to do such.
Yes. So to do something, let's say right now you're in June and July 1st is next Thursday, and you all decided you wanted to come together for Labor Day. Probably the best thing to do for a short window like that is to go to an on-site location where everything is already available for you. You know, have your family reunion dinner at a restaurant. A lot of restaurants have outdoor seating, as well as they have indoor seating. So that's one way to do that. Have it at a church. You know, you're all going to meet for church service. Some churches are opening. Plan your own church service, but have it outside, right? Let's say you have 50 people coming together for your family and you want to do potluck and you want to have it outside. Music can be played from a phone as opposed to you hiring a DJ, right? Let's say you want to wear an old family reunion t-shirt as opposed to trying to get a family reunion t-shirt made this time, right? So there's a myriad of things you can do with a short window, but already having existing programming would be the key. Have it already where everything is there available to you at a restaurant, going to a church service.
Thank you. Thank you. So there's a buffet of different ways that we can gather
Yes.
together. We can gather together now. And hey, maybe even I'll just throw this in there. This may even be a good time to plan a fuller reunion, getting people together. That's a good time, you know, to have a meeting and maybe think through some of those steps for a fuller reunion that you could have next year or the year following. Another question we have from our ASALH TV viewers on YouTube is, do you suggest video recording sessions at the reunion?
Video recording sessions, what would it be for? Would it be for people just giving greetings as a part of archive, or would it just be videotaping the entire weekend?
I would say, because they didn't specify, maybe if you want to speak to both. And then I would also add that
Okay.
During some of the workshops, if it's related to like oral stories or just
Yeah.
archiving, that they will get some tips about that in subsequent workshops. But if whatever you
Okay.
would want to speak to about that now.
Okay. So I would say if you had someone come in and videotape, I wouldn't have it be someone from the family, because then that would take away from their time with the family. But here are some areas over the course of the weekend that I think, you know, would be nice if you had it videotape. Your church service, if you had your church service videotape, if you had an awards banquet, or any way when we talked about acknowledgements, however you formulate that, it might be nice to videotape that. We have had different people in my family during the course of the weekend that videotape different parts and then put it together along with our pictures from the weekend and everything. So yeah, I think that that would be great to do.
Thank you for that. I think there is, let me just check here. Instructions. I would say the only other thing that I'm seeing here is just to give you all a reminder that the programs will be available on YouTube. There's going to be like a microsite or a web page on ASALH's website to give all of the just overview of what the project and the program entails and how to sign up for certificate, how to submit materials, all of those things. But if you would like to be able to just watch the recordings of the workshops, even if you want to return to the recordings from today, they will be available on ASALH TV on YouTube. So also subscribe there, so that way you can know when those are uploaded. And that is free and open to the public at all times, as you all know from the, oh, like me start. You all know that's available. You know, because I go on YouTube and you search things. And so, yes, please subscribe to ASALH TV and also to ASALH's mailing list, so that way you could be updated about some of the more things around the project, including, like, again, the certificate program, and also acquisition, like us trying to maybe do submissions and things like that. So I think that that is all of the questions we have. I'll take a moment to just pause to see if anything else comes through before we wrap up this portion of our day. Thank you again, Tracey, so much. You are awesome.
Thank you.
Okay, I think that that's going to conclude this part of our program today. Again, Tracey, thank you so much. I
You're
think so many
welcome.
families are going to really benefit from the information that you have shared, and
Thank
you're
you.
going to bring people together and you're going to make the most of their time. They're going to be getting their potato salad sponsored. They're going to be raising money for their babies. go to college. Like you just
Yes.
gave us so much information that we can use right now, that we can use indefinitely into the future. And we give thanks for all of your everything that you shared with us today. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Bless you all. Thank you for
Bless
having me.
you. You take
Love
care.
you.
And my
All right.
condolences to you.
Thank you.
And I hope that you
Yeah.
and your family are able to really just have a beautiful homegoing and celebration of people that have transitioned during this time. Much
Yes.
love to you, and y'all take care.
Bless you. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us for Workshop 2 of the Black Family